Dave McCulloch, he's the managing partner of Capital Media, capitalmedia.com, I believe. And his Twitter handle is DT McCulloch, McCulloch. And Dave, it's been a couple of years since we've talked. Welcome back to the program.
Thanks, Tom. It's good to be here. Good to see you.
Good talking with you. It is capitalmedia.com, right? I'm missing the M here.
Nope, .co.
Oh, .co.
Downsides to doing .co is people think it's .com, but it's .co.
Oh, interesting. So what is that, a new company website kind of thing? I mean, .co is, I didn't even know that domain existed.
Yeah, it's just there's a lot of other domain names out there. They're just slightly off. A lot of people do it. The downside is there's a nice guy. My email address is dave@capitalmedia.co. There's a nice guy named Dave, who's also Dave at capitalmedia.com. Not me. So send your love mail or hate mail.
I get it.
capitalmedia.co.
I get it. So you're a Republican strategist, as it were, a theoretician in this world, and you're also an openly gay man. I'm curious your thoughts on Ron DeSantis' war on basically the whole LGBTQ community. How does this go with you?
I don't necessarily see it as a war on the LGBT community. First of all, I am a gay man, and I come from a family of teachers, of educators and I've been through the public education system. I mean, 13 years of public school. We're talking, K through 12, and all of my teachers, all of them were some of the most highly respected people that I've known. But I also know on the other side, there are questions about what is being taught in our schools. And at the very least, shouldn't we allow our parents to know what's going on? Shouldn't we be allowing our parents to kind of have some sort of window into what our kids are learning about? And, there's been a lot of talk about like banning books and this "don't say gay" thing, which the "don't say gay" thing, by the way, is a thing that was pretty much created by leftist media organizations to say, oh my gosh, there's this bad stuff going on and DeSantis is going to make saying gay a crime. Come on. We know how the media works. We know the media loves to exaggerate problems that maybe are occasional. But on the flip side, what's the harm in trying to find out truly what is going on in our kids' classroom and letting our parents know and understand that? I don't feel like gay rights are terribly under attack here. I think it's valid. It's valid.
I have three children who are all adults now, in fact, in middle age. But I never had any doubts about what was being taught in school. Kids come home, they talk about what's in class. In fact, that was the main topic of conversation around the dinner table every night. They bring their books home. Any parent who wants to know what's going on in the school can just show up at the monthly PTA meetings. They can ask the teacher for a conference. They can look at the books in the classrooms. I mean, this, in my mind, Dave, is a completely manufactured controversy. We don't know what's going on in our schools, and these horrible teachers being used to attack A, teachers' unions, unionized teachers, B, public education, since the conservatives have been attacking public schools ever since the Brown versus Board decision, integrated public schools, and then C, bashing the queer community in general. I'm just astonished that you're going along with it, frankly.
You kind of said it earlier, though, and there's always a manufacturer crisis. Do I really think there is a major issue with gay education in schools? I don't actually think so.
No, that's not happening.
There have been a couple instances.
But I mean, as growing up as a gay kid, I mean, it had to be really tough, and I'm not trying to project anything about your experience growing up. That's yours, and you can speak to that. But I've spoken with people. I have family members who are gay, and in fact, I have a family member who's trans. And the story that I get is that when I was growing up, I was told that I was wrong, I was defective, I was a sinner, I was going to hell, I shouldn't speak about who I was. And how is it a bad thing for a classroom conversation about the fact that there are gay people in this country? That has been outlawed in Florida. A teacher may not have a conversation in a classroom about the existence of gay people right now in Florida. That teacher faces, jail time and fines and loss of their job. That's simply a fact, Dave. And it seems like that's got to be really destructive to gay kids growing up.
I don't necessarily agree with that. it does seem that it is kind of questionable what exactly the limits are here, and they haven't been tested. No one is saying, from what I understand about this bill, no one is saying like you can't say like, oh, well, does your mom and your mom or your dad and your dad, are they going to show up to the open house tomorrow? That's not it. What we're talking about is actually talking about sexual identity and gender identity.
Talking about a gay character in a novel. Graders. That's what I mean. That's the main thing for younger kids is there's a character in this novel who's gay. For older kids, of course, it's things like sex ed classes and stuff like that. But okay, so
sex ed. I didn't start sex ed until 5th or 6th grade, and even at that point. And I don't know what they're doing today. So forgive me.
We didn't have sex ed until I was in 8th grade. I think it was way too late. But
yeah, I mean, there is a question always about like when should your kids be talking about some of these issues, and as more kids come out as gay or trans or whatever part of the spectrum that they are on, these are valid questions to bring up. But when we had sex ed, for instance. When we had sex ed, we actually had to get, I think it was permission. I can't remember if it was opt in or opt out of sex ed. But your parents, in any case, were notified. Right. Because ultimately these things are questions or are things that your parents should be deciding.
Well, they still are at sex ed. They still are. But I don't see why parents need to be notified that, we're going to be reading a book this month that has a gay character in it. Or we're going to be reading a book this month that has a black character in it. That takes place in the 1960s who has to drink from a separate water fountain. I mean, that conversation is also outlawed in Florida. And I just find this breathtaking that Ron DeSantis is riding these issues, if you want to call them issues, I would say he's riding this hate, right straight toward the nomination for president of the United States on the GOP ticket.
I think some of those things are a little bit egregious. It's not necessarily about just like, oh, well, we're gonna not allow any sort of talk about gay issues. And my experience, honestly, with working with as a gay man, working with conservatives and Republicans over the years, is that I've gotten more hate from the left than I have from the right. It's more just about. People say all the time. I mean, people have called me awful things. Say, well, Dave, you're a Jew for Hitler because you're a conservative or a slug for salt.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I have different ideologies than probably a majority of your viewers, and some of your viewers might agree with that. But ultimately, these are things that I should be able to decide for myself, and issues that I should be able to decide. Just like if I had kids in school, I should be able to decide whether or not my kid is going to have an entire lesson about gender identity stuff in 2nd grade. That's ultimately what it's about. Should our kids be denied the ability to even say the word gay? Absolutely not. Should our teachers deny their ability to should educators be not able to discuss some of these things? No, but it is at the same time in 2nd grade, 1st grade, 3rd grade, which this Don't Say Gay bill is all about. As a whole, we have to make, as a society, we have to make rules that encompass.
So we should just censor the existence of gay and black characters who might, particularly black characters who might be experiencing oppression, as it were, or whatever word you want to use. That word's kind of loaded. From 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade, because it might, freak out fragile little straight white kids?
No.
Because it might offend their bigoted parents?
Grade, I don't necessarily agree with what people think. I'm not going to. Yeah. And I'm not going to agree with bigotry. I'm not going to agree with racist ideals. But ultimately, that's not my decision to make. Neither of us are lawmakers. Neither of us do that. Of course, we have our opinions on it. And I do think, frankly,
that's a cop-out, Dave. Come on. But we're over time here. Just real quickly, I'll ask you, why do you stay with the GOP?
Because I agree with the fundamentals of individual responsibility, individual liberty and freedom.
What is that? Give me an example. What does that mean?
I know what you're going to say when I say I support lower tax rates. I support individuals' ability to choose things. I don't necessarily agree with the Republican Party or conservative as a whole. Look, I'm a gay man, and we all know that the GOP has not always been the friendliest to the LGBT community, or at least to the gay community.
Right.
Yet I do value those general big picture items more than I do agree with on the left.
Well, I think that's a healthy thing. I think that we need to have a conversation between people who, like yourself, who want less government, as it were. I realize this is a cliche, and those of us who think that Franklin Roosevelt was right, and he built the American middle class, and we should continue that course. And conservatives would like to kind of take us back to pre-Roosevelt, and I get it. It's a fine conversation, and I honor your commitment to your principles, Dave. Dave McCulloch, managing partner of Capital Media. It's capitalmedia.co, and but I'm better on Twitter. DTMCCULOCH. Dave McCulloch. DT McCulloch. Dave, thanks for dropping by.
Hey, thanks, Tom.
It's great catching up with you. Dave McCulloch. We'll be back. Let's see here. Oh, did the anti-abortion movement begin as a cynical ploy to defend segregation?